It's day 5 of post-election protests in Tanzania, and more than 1,000 protesters are feared to have been unalived. But what shocked everyone yesterday is that the Electoral Commission of Tanzania declared the winner of the vote after 2 days of counting. And the winner, who is the current president of Tanzania, won by 98% of the votes cast, which was about that 1 million or that 1.5 million votes. She got that 1.5 million votes. And these has surprised everyone, casting doubt on the credibility of these results. Remember, in the same election, the opposition was barred from participating. Tanzania votes in 10th election as key opponents barred from the race. As you know, the reason why they were barred is because, or the reason why they were excluded from the vote is because they called for reforms on electoral laws. Now, one of the laws is this one, where in Tanzania, the law means electoral flows can't be challenged. In other words, once the chair of the Electoral Commission declares someone having won with that 1.5 million votes, you cannot go to court to challenge the credibility of that number. And they were saying we cannot go to an election with that kind of law. And they were thrown in jail for that. So that's why they are saying here, Samia, her historic win, a puzzle of unprecedented voter turnout. So this is the Tanzanian newspaper. It's a Tanzanian newspaper, okay? It's the largest English newspaper in Tanzania. As you can see, the citizen.co.z. And as you can see, Samia, they are wondering how the voter came out in large numbers. Now, what are these voters that came out in large numbers, right? So let me just show you a small screenshot. So according to the results from the Electoral Commission of Tanzania, is that 7 million registered voters are on that register, out of which that 2.5 million voters came out to vote, okay, or rather that 3 million voters came out to vote, and they managed to find that she won by that 1.5 million, that 1.5 million. So she got 98% of the votes. And they counted all those votes in a span of 2 days, which is not mathematically possible, which is not scientifically possible in a country the size of Tanzania with very poor infrastructure. Remember, you have to do verification even after the regional returning officers have done their counting. You have to at least verify the credibility and the accuracy of those votes. They did that in a span of two days to count 33 million votes and verify that those votes were correct, which is not possible. Now, why am I saying it's not possible? Let's look at the previous elections in Tanzania. 10 years ago, the President John Magufuli was running against the dominant, the dominant ruling party was running against the largest opposition party in Tanzania, Chadema, which was the one that was barred from participating in this year's election. At the time, Magufuli got 58% of the vote cast, while his rival got about almost 40% of the votes. Now, he got 8.9, almost 8.9 million votes, while his rival got 6 million votes. Now, the register at the time had 23 million voters. So the voter turnout was something like 60, right? 67. So here is the table. John Magufuli, 8.82. Edward Lowassa, 6 million votes. Registered voters, 2.16. Those who turned out, 15 million. The vote they got, the two candidates, 14 something. So total turnout of the votes, 67. So in 2015, only 67% of the registered voters came out. And this was the power coming from a previous president, that is Kikwete, going to a new president. Now, 2020, the same election happened. Incumbent John Magufuli going against the candidate who is now in jail for questioning the law of not challenging the vote. So because he was incumbent, definitely he had a margin. So he got 84% against 13%. He got 12 million votes. This other one got 1.9 million votes. Now, the register had grown to 27 million votes. Let me just go down to the table. John Magufuli, 12.5 million votes. Tundu Lissu, 1.9 million votes. Now, down here, the registered voters, 29. Previously, registered voters, 23. A change of 6 million. 29. The total vote that were cast, 15 million. Previously, total vote that were cast, 15 million. Almost the same number. Here we are seeing total turnout, voter turnout, 50 or 51%. Now, today we are not even transitioning from one president to another. It's the same president. The one who was the running mate to Magufuli, that is Samia Suluhu. This lady here. She's the one going in this election. The register has grown from 29 to 37, a growth of 8 million. It surprised a lot of people because Tanzania's population has been growing at a rate of 2.9%. So meaning those people who are attaining the age of 18 to be eligible to vote doesn't change that much. So the expectation was from 29, we would be talking about that 4 million registered voters. But here she's telling us that the register grew by that by 10 million voters, which is not possible also. But what surprised everyone, the turnout in the previous election was 50%. This year she's telling us that the turnout was 87%. So she's saying 87% here, 87% turnout in a vote that was boycotted by the opposition, because the opposition people felt that their candidate have been locked out, so they actually boycotted participating. And yet she's saying 87% of the people turned up to vote, more than they did in 2020 and more than they did in 2015. That's why they are saying here in this article, it's unprecedented, it's impossible, it is not even mathematically possible, scientifically possible, even naturally possible. But she wants us to go with those figures. 87% of the voters turned out of which she got 98% of the vote. Magufuli, the most popular president in the history of Tanzania in the last 20 years, he only got 87%. Rather, I'm going to back to down there. He only got 84%, the highest. They even, at the time they said the highest a candidate has ever gotten in a Tanzanian election. Besides Julius Nyerere, of course. The highest, 84%. But our lady dictator, who probably doesn't know how to do mathematics when she's rigging, has given herself 98%, unprecedented. That's why everyone is questioning the credibility of the poll, the legitimacy of the poll, and the democracy in that country. She is a dictator. And the problem in Tanzania is the one-party dictatorship. But the other big problem is the people who are now leading that party, which includes her. She's a dangerous person, setting a very dangerous precedence in the region. So Tanzania today, we cannot have the word Tanzania and democracy appearing in the same sentence. Today, the media in Tanzania, most media houses have been told to stop or to. So they've avoided or stayed away from mentioning the elections. The internet in Tanzania, as of now, is still blocked. It's shut down. No one knows what is going on in that country. The few people who are able to tweet and write from that country, they are using other types of internet, satellite internet connection. But the mobile internet, the broadband internet, all of them are blocked in Tanzania. So that's how it is. That's how, we are seeing the dawn of dictatorship in a country like Tanzania.